Hi David, I just want to walk you through the Future Fit telephone survey and talk to you about sampling. So, as you know, we're doing a Future Fit telephone survey across Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin and Powys, and it looks something like this. So we've got Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin, and then we've got Powys here, and we're covering some of the key wards along this western boundary of Shropshire. Okay, and we are surveying 1,000 people in Powys, 1,000 people in Shropshire, and 1,000 people in Telford and Wrekin. Okay, and across this area we're breaking it down so that we cover the 3 wards of Telford and Wrekin and the 5 wards of Shropshire. So that's something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all the wards of Powys. Okay? Now, 1,000 is the magic number because what we're going to do is we'll be able to present the results for 1,000 people at a confidence level of 95% within a margin of error of about 3%. So what that means is that if in this area here, those 1,000 people answer a particular question and 30% of them say, I strongly agree with this, or whatever it might be, we're 95% certain that it's 30% of the entire population that think that within a margin of error of 3%. So that means it could be 33% or it could be 27%. The 1,000 is sort of seen as the magic number. If you reduce that number down, then your margin of error gets wider. So the issue that we've got is that you want to analyse the 1,000 or present the 1,000 broken down for Shropshire into these 5 constituent parts. So if we do that and we present 200 from each of these at a 95% confidence level, which is sort of industry standards within market research, your error of margin gets bigger. Obviously in Telford and Wrekin you're presenting them at about 333, but Powys would remain the strongest or have the smallest margin of error because it's 1,000 people across the whole of the area. So I think that at present we need to rethink, because of the way that you want to present the figures, how we break up and distribute the 3,000 potential surveys. One way of doing it would be to equally split the 3,000 across all 9 areas, which gives a margin of error which is bigger than 3%, but not as big a margin of error as if you only had 200. But then I think that leaves a bit of an issue with Powys, which Shana's raised, that they want to see those figures on their own. So if we have a figure of about 320 in each of these, that would leave about 460 left over, I think, at the end of this number, which would be that. And I'll take you through the margins of error now. So, if you've got a sample size of 100, your margin of error is 6.9%. That means it's practically 7%. That means that if 30% of people within the 200 think such a thing or answer a question in such a way, that it's right or wrong within 7% either way. So it could be 37 or it could be 23. If it's 320, it drops quite significantly to 5.5%, which is what I'm proposing for all of the 8 areas across Shropshire and Telford and Wrekin. And then for Powys, if it was 440, they would get 4.7. Now I know it looks a lot better for Powys, but remember for the whole of Shropshire or the whole of Telford and Wrekin, you can aggregate those 5 areas for Shropshire or aggregate the 3 areas for Telford and Wrekin and get a much lower margin of error, which will probably be less than 3%, because it's the 1,000 here that creates the margin of error of 3%. Okay? I hope that makes sense, and perhaps after you've watched the video we can have a telephone conversation about it, but I think it's quite the easiest way to describe the issue that we've got at the moment. Okay, thanks.